and welcome to another amazing edition of the program Weekly Digest from the table of Happy Home Counseling Foundation. My name is Toluwalade Irigenuwa, and it's so nice to have you guys join us on today's episode of the program Weekly Digest from Happy Home Counseling Foundation. Just stay tuned. So welcome back. Thank you once again for staying tuned to this program Weekly Digest from the table of Happy Home Counseling Foundation. So this week we shall be looking at another wonderful topic as regard relationship and marriage in general. In case this is your first time of joining us on the program, don't forget to like our videos, subscribe, and do share with family and friends. You can also comment on our video below at the comment section, and also click on the notification button to get notified anytime we drop amazing content. So for today, we shall be looking at the topic sexual dignity. What sexual dignity is all about, why it is essential to keep our dignity. Right about now, we shall be joining our Father in the Lord in the studio in person of the Venerable Oluwarotimi Abiodun Komolafe.
Once again, I greet all lovers of Happy Home Counseling Foundation. Today we are talking about sexual dignity. Dignity simply means a state of having quality of honor and respect. That is, when somebody acts or behaves in such a manner to attract respect and honor for him or herself. And sexual purity means not being involved in sexual activities out of wedlock and being faithful to one's partner sexually, even in marriage. Such people that are able to keep sexual dignity are expected to be respected and celebrated in society for being able to maintain sexual discipline, which is most reasonable and healthy thing for the society. Such woman and man are supposed to be celebrated by their parents, by their spouse, and by the society at large. However, it is a way of life that has become very unpopular in the modern society. So sad. Our today's society celebrates shameful sexual activities that makes it look as if engagement in premarital sex and all sorts of prostitution activities attracts dignities and value. It is so sad. That is what our society has become today, and that is what a lot of people are promoting. Well, about the term hookup, it is an informal use. It is used informally for two people meeting for a form of relationship. Literally, hookup means connection, to establish a link with something. And the term was used popularly in 1922 as it was used for radio and television signal connection. When it is connected, they say it has hooked up. It became a sexual term from the year 1980s. In Nigeria today, it is used as a coded slang in the sex industry. So when you hear people say they are going for hookup or they are being involved in hookup, what they are trying to say is that they are practicing prostitution. It has become a refined way of practicing prostitution, like other related language, like when people say they are into rounds. Either rounds or hookup, both are modern day language, which means nothing more than prostitution. It means if you are a rounds girl, you are a prostitute. And if you are into hookup, you are also a prostitute. Let us call a spade, and not just a walking tool. It can actually be traced to a lot of factors. I mean, the reason why people are not celebrating sexual dignity, it can be traced to a lot of factors. Let me make it clear that it could be spiritual, it could be physical, it could be social. The way, immoral way of life is being celebrated in the modern day is quite alarming, so to say. Decent dressing or anything moderate is not noticed by anybody, not to talk about being recognized or being celebrated. Let us look at a few things that I think parents should look into. These things are perceived to be causes of loss of sexual dignity in our society. Let's take bad parenting, for example, or lack of good mentorship, because parents are also mentors. The society should understand that parenting is more than giving birth to a child, feeding the child, sending the child to school. It also involves looking after the children to ensure that they have good character and develop into maturity to be able to handle societal challenges, to be able to handle things when they come around them. When parents fail to provide good examples in form of being a good mentor to their children, it can lead them to start practicing bad behavior, such as prostitution or hookup culture, as we may look at it. It is the responsibility of parents to provide basic needs for their children until they are able to stand on their own. Our daughters and sons are supposed to depend on their parents, even when they are in the higher institution. But in a situation where parents are careless about these things, and they sadly turn their responsibility to those that boyfriends or friends or any other person will just take up, it can lead those children to start practicing a lot of things that they shouldn't practice. This is a total loss of dignity, and by doing so, we destroy the future of the generation to come. And by the time we allow our children to be pushed to the wall, because they are having a lot of questions in their mind, and when these questions are only provided for by their peers, if they run into the wrong hand, which means they will be given wrong approach to the issues of life. So we can blame the issue of loss of dignity to bad parenting. It is the responsibilities of daddies and mommies to make sure that they provide such things as pants, bras, sanitary pads, boxers, singlet, soap, cream, and all the rest for their children. Boyfriends are not supposed to be responsible. So we can blame this totally on parents or bad parenting. So in a situation where this responsibility are ignored, we are pushing the children to the wall, and they will begin to do things that we are not expected to do, and by so doing, they lose sexual dignity. Now, we can also look at urge for quick and cheap wealth or money under the disguise of poverty. It is not poverty that actually pushes some of these children to practice to be engaged in immoral practices, but because there is the urge for quick money, to make quick wealth, generally in the society today, because of the way the society celebrates money, and that has given bad orientation to the generation to come. As most of the young ones that are engaging themselves in prostitution activities called hookup today, their primary aim is to get money and live big. Our society got it wrong by celebrating money over integrity and dignity. We can also look at premature leaving home without proper training. Many of our children are leaving home so early this day, whether because they want to be educated or they want to learn a trade or for whatever reason. Parents should ensure that their children are left into safe hands. When your children goes into wrong hand, caretaker or somebody that you don't even know the kind of orientation that they are giving to your children, it may lead them to practice a lot of bad things in life. The idea of exposure to such things as homosexuality, lesbianism, bestiality, and other ungodly and corrupt form of sexual relationship are introduced into the life of these children when they mix up with others who basically develop from a wayward environment. I mean such families where anything goes. Before children leave the parents, it is good to build godly character into them. As parents, let your children know what is considered good and what is considered bad and evil by you. Clearly define it for them. When they go out into the unknown world and they are exposed to the reality of this polluted society, they will begin to develop questions in their mind which they need answers to these questions. And we must be careful where they get answer to these questions. So we cannot say because our children is out of home and leave them outrightly. We must constantly take a kind of check on them to know that they have not departed from practicing the good character we want them to practice. We can also look at the early exposure to uncontrolled social media. Social media is a very good thing, but it has done a lot of evil in our society today by destroying the future of our wonderful children. Certainly one of the major things that corrupt our children and lead them to be willing to try out a lot of ungodly things like prostitution acts is social media. Children are, yes, they can use phones, but they are supposed to use all these Android phone under parental guide. There are applications you can install on their phone in order to guide what they do on that phone. Otherwise, gradually, they will engage themselves in a lot of secret things that are uncalled for, such as pornography. And we have to be careful to ensure that we do not allow our children to go into such things because of their future if we really love them. We can also look at lack of sex education. When we talk of sex education, a lot of people don't really get it. Sex education is very important in parenting our children, to let them know their body parts, the meaning of private parts and why is it private, to let them understand that private parts are to be kept safe and not to be exposed, and to also understand that whichever part of the body that is referred to as private part is not to be touched by anybody, not even a close friend. So we should give them at least a little bit of sex education. We can also talk about lack of godly training. Our society is so loose these days. Godly training helps the society to grow and to control the generation that we are producing to behave in a normal and acceptable way in the society. A God-fearing child will be able to draw the lines between godly things and hookup way of life. Such child will definitely give his or her parents rest of mind when we encourage them to live a godly life. This is not about religion. It is about the future. Then, my take about singles maintaining sexual dignity. You will be surprised that in recent time, sexual dignity is fast becoming something that a lot of people cannot be proud of. What do I mean? A guy will tell you that he is not willing to get married to a virgin. Let me say it here and clear. And to encourage those who have vowed to maintain their sexual dignity, please go ahead. It pays in the long run. A lot of shows on the social media today are likely to discourage the young ones to maintain sexual dignity. A lot of marriages cannot stand today. They cannot stand the test of time today due to lack of trust, because of the known foundation is without dignified testimony. The children of darkness have their way of telling you that those things it does not pay, that you should not keep yourself. That a lot of people that are keeping themselves in sexual dignity, eventually they don't have a settled home. Tell them to show you their statistics. It is a lie from the pit of hell, and don't fall for it. Even bad ones eventually will desire to marry a lady or a guy that is dignified. One of the great challenges among the singles today is to get a decent and committed person to marry. And it is due to the fact that we have not valued dignity enough in the society. Young ladies, you listen to me very carefully. The guys that are turning you to prostitutes, to runs girl, to hook up ladies, will definitely look for somebody more decent. Whenever such a person is ready to settle down in marriage, you better wise up. You better wise up. They will neglect you and get involved with somebody who is neat, who is decent. So, that is what I want to say about that. You are expected to build experience together with your spouse. Well, what I will say is that do not ignore counseling before you marry. It is simple. You will get it right. Try as much as possible to keep yourself. That should be one of the things that should stand you out as a child of God, as a decent individual. Tell a person who says he or she cannot marry somebody who is not having sexual exposure and experience. Tell them to go and marry a prostitute, or better still, tell them to go and marry a widow or widowers. Those ones have enough experience. Do not let anybody deceive you into prostitute way of life. Refuse to be intimidated. Your life worth more than just an instrument to derive sexual pleasure. God places great value on your life. You are specially designed to achieve a spectacular purpose in your generation. And don't be deceived. When you protect your sexual dignity, let me just say, you will be respected. You will be proud of yourself as much as your spouse will be proud of you. As a temple of the living God, God himself will be proud of you. You will be able to protect yourself from shameful pregnancy and also diseases. Sexual activities are spiritual things. It has to do with agreement of soul and body. It is like signing a contract. The Bible in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 16 says, "And don't you realize that if a man joins himself to a prostitute, he becomes one body with her? For the scripture says the two are united into one." Of course, a lot of people have been hooked up in trouble through frivolous sexual activities. And you can escape that if you keep yourself. When you maintain sexual dignity, you will also stop exposing yourself from being a victim of ritual killing. Yeah. And let me advise today. My advice today is to all who sees hookup as a way of sexual life. It is better for you to embrace sexual dignity. Those who praise you today that you are social, you are trending, you are exposed, you are there, they are the same people that will tell you you are expired. Patiently wait for your dignified relationship and you will enjoy blessed marriage. A word is enough for a wise. God bless you.
And this is where we shall be drawing the curtain for today's episode of the program Weekly Digest from the table of Happy Home Counseling Foundation. We hope that you have been able to learn one thing or the other on the topic sexual dignity. Join us next week for more interesting and trending topics as regard relationship and marriage. Till we meet again same time on this space, I am Toluwalade Arijeniwa, and before I go, don't forget to like our videos, subscribe, and do share with family and friends, and also click on the notification button to get notified whenever we drop amazing content like this one. Till I come your way again next week, I'm saying stay safe, enjoy your weekend, bye for now.